Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on December 7, 2016, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board of the Municipal building.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember our troops abroad and their families here at home, and also to keep in our thoughts and prayers both Mitzi and Emily, two little girls, Belmar residents who tragically drowned a few weeks ago, and also keep their families in our thoughts and prayers as well. Thank you. All right, if the council would join me on the dais. So we have two terrific new hires at our Department of Public Works. I just wanted to bring them up. These are both full-time employees. As you know, our Department of Public Works is busy year-round, particularly in the summer. So I just want to bring up both of them at the same time. Emmett Rumler and Colton House. Legacy here in Belmar. The last names may sound familiar. There's one Hines standing taking pictures, and one Rumler sitting down with sunglasses. Two Rumlers. One by choice, which, you still got to worry about that. But I'd love to ask our superintendent, Mike Campbell, to come up and say a few things about these two and why they were hired.
Sure. Both of these gentlemen were working for us for the last 3 to 4 years. I'd like to talk about Emmett first. Emmett is right now working in our mechanic shop, helping out Billy Musto, our senior mechanic. And what Emmett decided to do, he worked the first year with us just doing basic labor. Then he put himself through college to go through automotive school. He got his degree. He's actually qualified now to get certified in 10 different areas, which is the most you can do in New Jersey. He worked his rear end off. He has become a huge asset to the point where I used to just call Billy and say, now we have a problem with the car, whatever it's going to be. I feel very, very comfortable calling Emmett and having him assist Billy. I think he found a natural niche for him. I think it was a blessing Belmar was able to hire him, and I hope it's good for the Brumler family as well as it is for our family. I'm very proud of him. I'm very happy to have him. I think he's a great kid. And as you know, with Colton's been working with us for 4 years. He started actually young on the beach. His father was my partner and assistant superintendent. Everybody knows Franny, obviously, Mr. Belmar. And the same love Franny has for Belmar, Colton has. And that's the best thing I can tell you. When you see Colton working on the street, he runs, he hustles, he wants to do his daily best. He talks to me every single day, and he says, what can I do more of? What can I get involved in? He just wants to work and he wants to serve the community. He wants to be his father, which is a blessing because his family has been so good to him, his mother and father. Whether he ever aspires to that, Franny's one of the hardest workers and nicest men I've ever met. When I grow up, I want to be Franny. Again, I think Colton's in the right direction. I was very pleased to be able to offer him a job through the mayor and council and Colleen Conley. They were gracious enough to give us both of these hires. They made us, I think we were a solid DPW before then, and I think they've both made us better. I think they're going to be legacy people, and I think they're going to be great for the town of Belmar. They both love it here.
All right.
As you guys may know, we like to put you on the spot, so I'd like you to say a few words.
Well, I'll just start off. This town's given me everything growing up, so I'm happy finally I can give back to it. And that's about all. Thank you.
Well, I just want to do my best every day for you, the town of Belmar, the people who live in it, and I'm proud to work here, and I'm proud to be a Heinz.
And let's hear a real quick round of applause for our entire Department of Public Works. So next we have a special presentation. Before we do that, I do want to recognize a few folks we have in the audience with us. We have the Sheriff of Monmouth County, Sean Golan. The Chief of the Avon by the Sea Police Department, Kevin Hahn. And he wasn't behind the sign in Avon, if people saw that sign. You know what I'm talking about. And also Mike Bascom, the BA in Neptune is here as well. Thanks for coming. So I'd like to bring forward our Monmouth County freeholder, Tom Arnone, who wants to join in our special presentation tonight. And I got to tell you that, freeholder Arnone and I competed against each other last year. He came out on top. I did not, but that's the way it works. I think we took some fair shots at each other. But at the end of the day, once the campaign's over, and once the election's over, you need to work together and put the people you represent first. And I can tell you that Tom Arnone is exactly that guy. So it's great to have him here in Belmar. Thank you.
On behalf of the mayor, and that was very kind words. And right after the election, I was invited here in the same room here to talk about economic development side and some programs there. So I commend you for that, and we're going to continue to work together. You want to go with me? Okay. Swap. You want to start off?
Okay.
Sure.
So again, whenever we do a special presentation, we like to embarrass the person as much as possible. So I'd like to bring Margaret Moore up here. So Margaret was recently honored on a state level, but what she does day in and day out in Belmar is truly remarkable. And in a lot of ways, she also represents all the amazing people at the St. Vincent de Paul Society and also at the Selective Seconds. That's in Belmar Plaza. And I can tell you that particularly over the last couple of weeks, we saw what an incredible heart St. Rose Church has when it held 2 events for the families of the 2 children that drowned. And also just the outreach from the St. Vincent de Paul Society in our community and also neighboring communities is really outstanding. And so while Margaret is here for herself, I also think that she also represents a much larger group of people as well who really do phenomenal stuff in our community. So thank you all very much. So I'm going to read this resolution honoring Margaret Moore. Whereas Margaret Moore is dedicated to serving her community and focusing on bettering the lives and well-being of Belmar residents and the community at large. And whereas Margaret Moore works passionately to serve her community working with the St. Vincent de Paul Society. And whereas, due to Margaret Moore's leadership in Selective Seconds, over 250 families have received furniture and thousands have received much-needed financial support, making a significant and meaningful impact in our community. And whereas Margaret Moore has dedicated her life to improving the lives of those around her, selflessly giving of her time, energy, and compassion, setting a standard to which we should all aspire. And whereas Margaret Moore's mission and dedication was rightfully and justly recognized by the state of New Jersey in rewarding the 2017 Jefferson Award for faith-based leadership. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar congratulate and honor Margaret Moore on her years of service to our community. Be it further resolved that the Borough of Belmar hereby recognizes Margaret Moore for her exemplary and honorable service to the Borough of Belmar and our residents, for whom she has been a tireless advocate. Belmar is a better town to live in because of her and her service. Let's hear from Margaret.
I'll tell you, since we got to have a little fun here, I've been here now. This is the second recognition that I've been here to. And I might say, they sit here and they make Belmar better. Your public works employees, and the Hines family, and now Margaret, but I must say, they live in Neptune City. Both live in Neptune City. But with that being said, I want to commend you and your town because of the tragedy that you just had there. And I attend Mass every Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning. I see my father sitting there. And I will tell you that when I'm there, you could feel the true love for the town there, and it showed with your tragedy. And I commend each and every one of you behind here and the way the town handles and comes together. That's the difference between small towns and larger towns. They're able to not take nothing away from the larger towns, but when you have those tragedies, they come together like a family, and that was shown there. As far as Margaret, you read most of everything that I have on mine there, but I will say that I don't know where's Margaret, so I'm kind of getting a little confused. I only know where's Toots. And but with that being said, it's a great family. Her husband, Chip, and Margaret, I'll say it so because we got to be professional here. But I will tell you that her dedication and devotion for the cause and for what she's doing. And on a personal side, you know, I see the effect of it because of what I do in my living with Catholic Charities and St. Paul, the help that they give to some of our tenants that are in most of our apartments there around, not only pretty much Monmouth County. We manage about 3,000 apartments, and we reach out big time for assistance. So I want to thank everybody that's involved there, and more importantly, I know your dedication and your commitment. I see it daily. I see the passion. That's what Monmouth County's made of. And Monmouth County, and of course here in Belmar, without volunteer-based businesses, we don't survive. And people politicians, elected officials can tell you different. It's a bunch of bull. Without organizations like this and those people working behind the scenes, our county, and I'm sure you attest to towns, they wouldn't survive unless we had great people like you. So the good part of this, in recognition of this prestigious award that the mayor just spoke about, the Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders proclaims this day, July 11, 2017, to be known as Margaret Moore Day in the county of Monmouth.
A person can have a great idea, but if you don't have the support of, first of all, your husband, Chip, who was unfortunately training police officers down in Virginia today and couldn't be here, although he sent his entourage from all the friends here. If you don't have that support, you don't move forward. If you don't have the support of the volunteers who answer yes every time you ask them to do something, and each person brings a part to the big project, you don't go anywhere. And I'm blessed to have the volunteers who have become friends of mine now, and I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for saying yes for whatever it is that they answered my request for. I'd like to thank also my family who has supported me, besides Chip, my family, with not only giving donations for the cause, but also for signing up for our crowd-raising, fundraising that we're trying to get so that we can support Vincent's Legacy with the funding to pay for the rent for the warehouse that we are. So I'd like to thank my family for that. And finally, I would like to thank Joe Williams, who couldn't be here tonight because of a previous engagement. He is the president of the St. Vincent de Paul Diocesan Council. And he's the person who actually took the time and energy to write up the summary of what we do, but in my name, to send to the Governor Jefferson and Ward Council so that they could consider whether or not it was something that they would like to recognize, and fortunately they did. So I would like, although Joe's not here, I'd like to thank him for taking that time and energy to do that on our behalf. And I would like to thank the mayor and Mr. Arnone and the council for allowing this opportunity to happen for me tonight. I'm truly humbled, and it's the best day of my life besides getting married. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He tells me, hey, I gotta get in touch with Alan. I said, Terry, the chief of police is right next to me, so.
I'm sure he'll.
I know.
He's my neighbor.
I know.
We lost 10 junior guard also,
The 10 at junior guard
and we got a lot of flooding in town.
in the pavilion, yeah.
We'll work on it.
They probably left the doors open, probably, because they all got keys.
All right, our next item is going to be public bids for Zumba. Mr. Gann.
Do you have a resolution or description? For the record, this is an auction, public auction, to enter into a lease for Zumba classes on the 2nd Avenue Beach, as noticed in the press. Mr. Cannon will run the auction. Opening bid is $500, and all interested applicants, please come on up.
So the Borough of Belmar will now hold an auction for Zumba classes at 2nd Street Pavilion, sorry, 2nd Street Beach, pardon me. The opening bid is $500. Seeing bidders have come forward, we'll open the bidding at $500. Does anyone bid $500? Does anyone bid higher than $500? $500 going once, $500 going twice, and the bids are closed. Awarded $500 to our single bidder, whose name is Michelle DiCarlo.
Peter Pyro is going to bid on this one.
I was expecting that. I don't know why. No, he doesn't belong.
I'm sorry. Peter Pyro's blocked. We're all good?
We're all good.
All right, next, workshop discussion. I guess I'll let our attorney discuss this a little bit. The draft ordinance for awnings and canopies that was suggested by Councilman Walsford at our June meeting.
So I've drafted an ordinance in accordance with our discussion we had at the last meeting. Previously, canopies, so there's a difference between an awning and a canopy. For simplicity's sake, the difference is that a canopy is supported by the ground and an awning is not supported simply by the structure it's attached to. Which means that you have items touching the ground, potentially in public sidewalks and thoroughfares. So those were accounted for here. Number one, you'll notice that the code sections changed from 3205 to 3105, just as a preliminary kind of subject matter. It's because the UCC has changed in New Jersey. The current version of UCC, I'm not sure when the ordinance was passed. The awnings and canopies are dealt with in Chapter 31. Long story short, this makes canopies legal within the borough, subject to restrictions similar to awnings, and also requiring a permitting process as well. And the permits will be granted based upon location. Councilman McGovern emailed me after I sent this draft to everyone, emailed me individually, and expressed a concern as to, because you're going to have supports down, the awning has nothing coming down to the ground. The canopy has legs that support it. And it, the concern was whether pedestrians or other people using the borough thoroughfare will be able to see that. And that will have to be, we can certainly add something in that regard. However, the permitting process, I think, deals with location. A permit's not going to be granted if you have 5 poles in the middle of the sidewalk someplace, and that you'll have to be approved for an awning rather than a canopy. As I took it last time, canopies had a lot to do with perhaps people under them dining or otherwise relaxing. So to address Councilman McGovern's concern, we could add a provision in there where you actually rope off that section because you don't want people going in and out past the poles. And depending on the application, so you guys can either leave that to the discretion of the permitting process, or we can kind of address that issue through the ordinance. Obviously, through the permitting process gives you more flexibility in determining the application and where it's at. A canopy is not going to be appropriate everywhere there's currently an awning, clearly. This also deals with your ordinance did not deal with retractable awnings. These are retractable awnings on your deck at your home or what have you. They're only effective, and our regulation comes in when they're over the public right of way or public thoroughfares. And it deals. I put the basically made the requirements the same for retractable awnings as regular awnings, so there should be no difference. That's essentially it in terms of what this actually says and does. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one point. I apologize. Clerk brought to my attention that one of the issues is in the wintertime, people remove a lot of their coverings, and certainly remove the coverings due to the weather here and the winds off of the ocean, in this particular town. So I drafted 2 forms of the ordinance, with winter removal and without winter removal. So whether you want someone to remove the entire frame of canopy so you don't have an awning might be significant, or the canopy might be significantly less visible in those frames if the covering is not on it, so whether you want to include that or not, I wrote it both ways, and that's really up to you. You're familiar with the circumstances in which this would be used and what would be appropriate more than I am, so I wrote it both ways for you guys.
Any comments, questions?
Yeah, the only comment, and I know I emailed Greg on this, was that I was thinking that we can limit it to like restaurants that are already restaurants that would have the proper bathrooms and everything like that, because the canopies would come into effect only for like if they had dining outside. So I don't know if the rest of the council would like it for everyone, or do we want to limit it to if it's just dining areas for canopy? Because I don't know if like clothing stores we would want it.
Pick up on them.
So.
No, I think it's a good point, and the idea, and I think every canopy we have is related to a restaurant, because the idea is to have outdoor dining. I think if you did it with a retailer, what you may run into is someone putting a canopy out there, and all of a sudden they got racks of clothing on the sidewalk, which is not good. So I think that we do limit it to restaurants or someone serving food. You'd have to work up the language on that. The other thing I think, I don't see these things popping up all over the place because I think they're kind of expensive. And I think that we make sure that it's done right, and that means that the poles, that it's not something you can take down. So once the poles are put up, if they take the canvas off, and we've seen this before, it's an ugly, ugly skeleton.
Right, that's the other thing, the aesthetics as well.
So I would say that we require that it's left up 12 year round. Now, they can do that. However, it gets much more expensive because you need to have much better supports underneath. Now, there are folks that have that already, right? Randall does, Jack's. No, because if you take it down, the poles are still there because the poles are
The poles are pretty much, if you want a good construction, they're going to be permanently installed.
right. If you can take the poles out,
Then you have an awning.
then you have an awning.
Right.
I'm just wondering if they could take the whole thing down in the winter, put it back up in the spring.
I think that's fair, if they could take the whole thing down, but you know, if that involves digging up the bricks and
Right,
stuff.
That's a question of how much integrity is in the structure.
I just think logistically, I don't know if you can take the poles down.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have to remember there's going to be other areas of regulation. So for example, if you're talking about restaurants, and there's, you know, any kind of cooking device or anything like that that's under the canopy invokes the fire marshal's jurisdiction. Tents and canopies are also governed by fire code. So anytime you have someone in there, there's triggers under the fire code. For example, if you're having an exhibition and there's bleachers under the canopy, fire marshal has to okay that for obvious reasons. So some of this that we're talking about is also going to fall under fire regulation, how many people can be under it. When it hits a certain size, the fire marshal is also going to have to be approving it as well. Don't quote me on this, I believe it's, I believe it's 900 square feet under the fire code, bigger than 30 by 30 invokes his jurisdiction. And again, if it's electrified, if there's any piping or any sort of mechanicals in the top of the canopy, then it's, you know, it needs to go to the construction office.
And I also think that we need to not, you know, our sideways are wide, but then all of a sudden there's pots with plants in them, there's telephone poles, so there are parts where it gets narrow.
Right.
So I think if you're gonna have a canopy, there still has to be enough width between anything that's obstructing someone, which again, it may not be their fault, they just have a place that's got a telephone pole in front of it, but that's gonna limit how big their canopy can be.
Right.
So that, you know, we're still ADA compliant with our sidewalks, with people walking by and not having to go under the canopy, even in the months when it's not being used.
Correct.
So
I wouldn't say also that this enables people to just put up a canopy for it. No matter what, any of this stuff has to be permitted. So this only entitles people to now come for permits for canopies, just like they have to be for awnings. Canopies prior to prohibiting entirely.
I like the idea of Councilman Wolfsburg's ordinance that just makes it simpler and easier for small businesses to operate in Belmar. And I think we can accomplish that, but I think we just have to do it in a way that doesn't exacerbate, you know, people walking up and down the sidewalk, and also, you know, is aesthetically, fits in aesthetically with the rest of Main Street. But I think it's definitely doable. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, most of them that we have stay up all winter long. I haven't seen anybody take them down during the winter time, so.
No, not the ones I
ones
can
that are
think of
canopies.
all year.
And the planning board has allowed a lot of them, so we have some kind of structure formed on them, because it's not just like we're creating this brand new.
Councilman, do you need an example so I can go by, so it really helps if I can see what I'm writing or trying to
Well,
read.
there's Brandel Restaurant, Jack's Tavern, Federici's.
Federici's right next to Jack's.
Federico's.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Great.
Anyone I'm missing?
I think even George's Restaurant, when it was open, had it. They have it, they still have it out there.
Yeah, you're right. George's Restaurant. Where's George?
Was it 1102 Main Street?
Yeah.
They still have one out.
Next to Waste Management.
How about calling Franny Hines Mr. Belmar? Really weird old George Comatas.
But I mean, the idea of it, they still have to go through all
Yeah,
the
they still
construction
have to go
codes,
through
the electrical codes. It doesn't circumvent anybody from doing that, but what it does, it helps them, whoever wants to apply for the canopy, to save them from going to the planning board and spending all the money with attorneys and coming up with all the drawings.
Right, anyone now who wants a canopy would have to go get married.
But I think that it should probably limit it to just restaurants and outdoor dining.
Is there consensus on that? That was going to be my question. Does everyone feel like it should be
Can't think of any other
restaurants
business
that
that
would?
We have a.
No, but I'm saying that's if you had someone selling clothing, and all of a sudden you're gonna have racks of clothing under this canopy,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the intention.
No.
I think it's you know, for people to sit at tables and eat.
Right,
So,
we have like a couple of times a year, they do have them do sidewalk sales, like the BVP organizes some things.
Right.
But we don't want that to be like,
Right.
weekend,
No.
day. Yeah, because.
What about the, like the cupcake place, the sweet, is that considered a outdoor dining? They don't have a canopy up there now.
No.
Because they do have
That
all
was
games.
a gray area.
No, because they don't have indoor eating. I mean, they don't have indoor facilities to sit down and eat.
And
And
I
what I
think on
saw
that,
was
we-
restaurants or someplace where people want to eat in shades, in essence.
Right, I think maybe we can do is put, they have to have a certain minimum size kitchen.
Would it make sense to tie it to the outdoor dining application?
Well, the outdoor guys may not want, oh yeah, I guess why not, right? Just tie it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that instead of changing this completely to address it here, you could put canopies are hereby prohibited except as provided in the outdoor dining section, and then we can modify that ordinance.
Right.
So that it's only clearly applicable to the outdoor.
Because you're gonna come to zoning
Then we're gonna
officer
modify
anyway
the
for
other
outdoor
ordinance as
dining.
well?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what we're talking about, really.
Let's see if Greg and I
Well,
can
you,
do it.
this ordinance, the change would be limited to cleaning up the stuff I talked about at the beginning, chapter numbers and stuff like that. And then instead of saying canopies are hereby prohibited, canopies are hereby prohibited except as provided in the outdoor dining section, and then doing the majority of this requirements, massaging, laws in that ordinance. Because then it'll be
Makes
clear,
sense.
because if you're coming in here and you're an outdoor dining establishment, you're not going to the buildings and zoning auditing canopies ordinance, you're looking at the outdoor dining ordinance.
Yeah, it makes it, make it easier for them to find what they're looking
Yeah.
at.
Greg, do we have a distance that they, the supports have to be from the curb so that, someone else could walk past without having to step into the street?
Yes, I had,
ADA requires a 4-foot pathway.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they would have to comply with that.
But I would say even forget, like the curb's one thing, but also think about if there's an electric box or
Yeah.
Right.
a telephone pole, they gotta comply with that.
Yeah. There's still
So
got
the route,
to
they can't have something in the middle.
Right.
You know?
So they can't say the guy down the block has it, why can't I have it? We can just say because your sidewalk's narrower, or you've got.
well, the way I deal with that, Councilman, is that no permit shall be issued pursuant to this ordinance for a canopy unless the applicant provides a plan for the location of all frame components touching the ground within a sidewalk or other public thoroughfare, and the code official is satisfied in his or her sole discretion that the frame components will not impede, obstruct, or create any dangerous condition at any sidewalk or other public thoroughfare of the borough.
It's up to his discretion?
There's no
Should we
way to
put
write
it-
this for, there's so many individual circumstances that there's no practical way to write, it has to be this many feet.
Right.
That's the issue that I ran into with this, and why I asked you for some examples so I can drive by, is that when I was writing this, there's no way to write it for the sidewalk in some areas in your town is 4 feet, and in other areas in town, it's, Main Street, it's much
It
wider.
has to be a minimum.
So that became the difficulty in writing it, was establishing that clear standard was virtually impossible, trying to imagine all the circumstances under which it would occur.
But a pedestrian would always have a minimum amount of space to walk, so they don't have to step into the street due to the.
Yeah, what I had envisioned was your code official knows all those ADA clearances and everything else, that's his job to do all day, so that he would be able to look at a plan and see what the clearances were and things like that. Because for me to write an actual number in there was virtually impossible to account for everything that could possibly come up.
Yeah, that word discretion, boy, a little troubling.
Well, his or her sole discretion is written here, but, it's always challengeable to the land use board anytime there's an or, this could be appealable as well, just like anything else under the municipal land use law.
And if I could offer, I think that discretion is in play when he's going out to inspect potential outdoor dining space anyway. So he's already taking a look at how it relates spatially to telephone poles and things of that nature. So that discretion exists already.
All right.
Well, sounds like we have a little tweaking to do.
Sure, I'll take care of this, I'll clean up the,
So not on for tonight? Do this
doesn't
for
sound like this would be, it
August?
sounds like we're going to
All right.
take it a little bit of a
I
different
like
direction.
the idea of putting it in, tying on with the application for outdoor dining. That makes a lot of sense. It really does. If that's what
All right,
we're.
so we can do both of them ordinances at the same time?
I thought a lot about it as well, and looking at it, it's not really practical other places except for outdoor dining, because you have to stay within the canopy constraints, otherwise people are constantly walking past those poles, which is why it was prohibited to begin with.
Right.
So I think that makes the most sense.
Right, and we've
Say
already
that, I
said
know
that,
what you
that's
guys
really
really wanted, but I'd like to.
Well, that's really what we're thinking about, what we want it to be used for, so we might as well put it together.
Right.
We'll bring it back at your next meeting.
Good with that?
Yep.
All right.
I had something I needed.
Oh, on workshop?
Yeah.
Okay, sure, fire away.
I've been thinking about this a lot. in light of recent tragic events, I think it's something we should be looking at about what our options are as far as providing swimming instruction for the children in town. I'd really like to hear what Councilman McGovern has to say about it. I know he has experience in this area. I think it's something we really need to start looking at.
To give swimming instruction?
Yeah.
Well, it was always the missing piece to the puzzle in the recreation department, that we didn't have a pool. And really, the only place you can really teach someone how to swim is in a pool. But the cost of land in Belmar is so expensive that to dig a hole and fill it with water, it's just not practical. And I thought and thought and thought where we could put it.
Well, I was wondering about L Street Beach.
You know,
the reason I bring it up is when I was a kid, I grew up in Wincroft, and I remember my mom taking us down to Ideal Beach in Kingsburg, which was a bay beach. It had no surf. I mean, it had a tide. It reminds me a lot of L Street, and L Street reminds me a lot of that. And you have to deal with the fact that the tide goes in and out and affects what you can actually do with the kids in the water. But apart from finding a pool, that might be something we could look at and use.
You know, many summers I worked with a lifeguard, Howard Rowland, who was famous for giving swimming lessons down at L Street Beach. And to be perfectly honest, it was great that he did this, but I don't think anyone ever actually learned how to swim. And what's deceiving is you're learning how to swim at a bay beach, and there are no rip currents, there are nothing, no waves. And so someone goes there, let's say for 2 or 3 weeks, I know how to swim, they go down to 16th Avenue Beach, they go in the water and they get caught in a rip current. It's a nice gesture, but I don't think...
Well, maybe we could just teach them how to float so they just don't drown.
I'll tell you, that's the answer. Teach the kids, if you can float in 5 feet of water, you can float in 5,000 feet of water. You can dump somebody in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and they can float. This idea of telling people to swim horizontal to the shore to get out for a run, that's good for surfers or lifeguards, but if someone's caught in a rip current, float until someone comes out and gets you.
Right. And I think that some of the kids just don't, I don't think they really know how to do that. They know how to play around in the surf, but they don't know how to just relax and float in the water so that they can, not panic. Because a lot of it's just don't panic.
And if I could just add, I know that about a week prior to this tragedy, the water rescue had been to Belmar Elementary and spoke to the children about the dangers of the water and be able to swim and what time to be in the water when the lifeguards are there, etc. I don't know if they did any handouts. I don't know if maybe twice a year in the schools in town, maybe they could show a video. Because kids like visual. Maybe they could show an updated video of how to survive in a hard time. Because I think, when someone's talking, especially, a lot of kids, maybe they're not listening. But I think visuals or handouts or, even just kind of role playing, get them all together and pretend one's happening. I don't know. So just a thought.
It's helpful. It's like anything, you tell them in a classroom what to do in the water, what to do in a rip current. But then how they actually act when they are caught in a rip current and the panic sets in, that's the difference. Really the best thing, swim in front of a lifeguard. That's very simple. The ocean's not your friend, but it's not your enemy. It treats everybody equally. And if you know how to swim, no problem. I was a lifeguard when I was 25. I go in the rough water. If I saw the same water today, there's no way I'm going into that water. You got to know your limitations, and that's difficult for people because non-swimmers will see swimmers out there, they'll see surfers out there, and think the water's safe to go in, but it's not.
And I had several parents. They were older parents that were used to when they grew up here. They said that there were the lines and the buoys squared off as, I guess. I don't know if it was for safety, I don't know if it was marking it, I don't know if it was for lifeguards, who was patrolling what area, but they had asked why we don't have those, and I think they said Point Pleasant had them, but I know I spoke to Mayor Doherty about it, and I know that there's a reason that they were taken down, but...
They created more rescues than anything because people would get knocked down and they got caught by their chin underneath the rope, and they they couldn't get up, and the rope was basically hanging them. Because if you're in the middle of a rope and you're 50 feet from the north rope, and what's the difference of being 50 feet south of that rope? It's actually, I like the way it's set up nowadays. You don't have the ropes as a problem on rough water. I mean, rough water, all of a sudden you're looking down, there's a couple kids hanging by their chin, right at the wash.
Rely on them.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the one thing I've seen in town, who does a remarkable job with teaching children to swim in the ocean is summertime surf. Because before you can surf, right, all the kids want to go and surf, so they, before they're allowed to surf, before they're taught how to surf, they're taught how to survive, basically.
Exactly.
Kind of like Brian's saying, they're taught how to swim in the ocean. And I hate to say it, but if you dangle, a treat like surfing in front of kids, they respond more to the, eating the meal that they have to, which is learning how to swim in the ocean and survive. And he does it really well, and he does it with, I don't know what, 7-year-olds? He does it with little kids, 6-year-olds. Like Brian said, just don't, know your own limitations, and if you're not Michael Phelps, don't swim unless there's a lifeguard there. But I do think he's the type of activity or organization we have in town where if people went there, I think you'd be pretty comfortable with your kid being able to handle themselves.
That's okay for families
in the ocean.
but
We also have the junior lifeguard program that does the same thing.
Right.
When I ran that program, we basically taught the kids how to survive in the water. We would sometimes put them in a rip current to show them that, there's no such thing as an undertow. Nothing pulls you under the water. It's panicking and losing the oxygen in your lungs that causes you to go down.
Yeah, right.
So if you can stay calm and keep air in your lungs, you're going to be able to float until you get rescued. So our junior lifeguards, that's what we used to try and train them to do, is to stay calm and know how to handle it.
And that program is very reasonable, and it's just a tremendous program.
Maybe we could check with some surrounding towns. I know Neptune put in that nice pool over there. Maybe they do some swimming lessons, and we could notify like the school to have, if they want during the wintertime to have somebody teach their kids how to swim. I'm not sure if they have the programs over there, but maybe we could check. Well, there were plans years ago behind the Belmar Elementary where they used to have a baseball field for a pool to go. But that big redevelopment plan fell through. A community pool back at the Belmar Elementary would be ideal. Then you could take the kids and teach them how to swim and have a place to go off the beach. Look at Colleen's face going, oh, no, don't tell me you want a pool. But, that's already public property, the Board of Education,
That Board of Ed,
That's the only place in town that I know where, I thought you can't put it where the gazebo is, because the people that deeded that over to the Borough of Belmar put in a clause that it could only be a passive area, so you can't put a pool there.
A lot of people have asked also next to the fishing club on like First and Second on the beach, but
That's
can't
not,
be on the beach.
They wouldn't allow us to do it with Taylor Pavilion.
One branch set up a pool where they do, my niece works there, he runs it. They train people to swim for free.
Well, I just feel like we really, as a community, I think we have a responsibility to do something about it. We can't just not offer some kind of instruction, particularly to the community that the girls came from, because, we all go to a place where, I know my parents made sure I knew how to swim. When they took us to places, I remember when my kids were little, we were able to take advantage of the Monmouth County park system that offered. They were really inexpensive, but you had to drive all the way out to Ten Falls to Dorburn Park. They have pools out there. A lot of people just can't do that kind of thing. To them where the kids will be able to go by themselves because their parents aren't able to take them there. It has to be close enough for them to get there, and it has to be affordable enough for them to feel like they can do it. I don't think there's any question that they would feel the importance of it now, especially considering what's happened. but I think we need to think of something that we can do about it, you know. I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good, we gotta think of something.
Well, maybe that if there is places like Long Branch or Neptune, I don't know if they do it or not, or even Monmouth County Parks, if we can make a list of which ones do it and notify all the parents at the school, maybe some of them feel strong enough to take their kids there, and that would be like a stopgap until
we
something
get there,
happens.
yeah, I see that.
At least get them, some swimming lessons.
All right.
For anybody, teaching them how to swim, and Matt mentioned it, there's a difference. So many people can swim in a bathing suit.
Right.
What I used to do with my two daughters is, I had a pool, I'd have them go into the pool in the deep end with their clothes on, shoes on, and have them tread water there. In case they're ever out in a boat, and the boat capsized, they fell out, and they don't panic, because it's so much different being in the water with clothes on, shoes on especially, than when you're in a bathing suit. So if you had your own pool or something like that, maybe we can get federal dollars or something like that after. And we could teach kids not just how to swim, but how to survive in the water.
Right. That's what I want to do.
During the day or even at night, because a lot of people go out in the boat at night and they go into the water in the dark, and then all of a sudden the panic sets in. Again, if you stay calm, you can float.
So if I could offer, it sounds, what I'm hearing is more of a focus on, other than getting a pool, water survival more than more than swimming.
Right.
So what I think I'd like to do is bring in, through our Director of Public Safety, Chief Heisman, bring in lifeguards, bring in water rescue, maybe we can workshop a couple of ideas. Because L Street Beach could work if it's really talking about floating and remaining calm and water survival. So let's play with a couple of ideas, and then I'll come back to you with some suggestions.
Thank you. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Anything else for workshop? No? Any petitions for the mayor and council? Anyone have any petitions about? Petitions? All right. Entertain approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Look.
Yes. That's a little jump in the gun here. Let me start paying attention, okay? I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 7th, 2017 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website. Wow.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yeah.
Councilman Nicholas? Mayor Downey?
Yes.
Councilman Walker?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
I think so, yeah.
Next are reports of council. Council President McGovern, would you like to start us off with a report of council?
Yes, I would.
Thanks, sir.
First, I want to start talking about the Historical Council. Historical Council in Belmar. They have a fundraiser going with the Doughboy. And it looks like the cost for repairing it properly is somewhere between $17,000 and $18,000. So far in the GoFundMe account, it's been raised about $2,500 approximately. The Historical Society is also having a fundraiser at the Shillelagh Club on August 8th. Pat Roddy, who has a band, well-known band, Belmar person, is going to be entertaining that night free of charge to the Historical Society. Tickets are going to be $25, and you can get them at the Belmar Museum at 9th Avenue and E Street, Nostalgic Nonsense on Main Street, or Salon Marcel on 10th Avenue. So that's going to be August 8th, a fundraiser for the Doughboy, and they still have to raise thousands of more dollars. So please, put it down your refrigerator, save the date, and that should go really well. Again, it's going to cost them about $17,000, $18,000. I went by the baseball, softball field, and our DPW guys did the work fantastic. I mean, I wish it was that nice when they first opened it, Great job. And whose idea was it to put all that stone behind the backstop?
That was Michael.
I mean,
That was my idea.
Oh, sorry, that was Matt's idea?
I told him.
Because that was always a problem. You'd be standing in home plate in the puddle, and second base, third base, shortstop, center field was dry, but you couldn't play the game because there's a huge puddle because it was all draining in that direction. Smart move. I like the idea that in our resolution today we're extending the Piano Plaza outdoor dining area for Randall's and for Don's. The Friday night concerts were so successful, and those people have been doing it for years, sitting down very nicely, having a little dinner, a glass of wine, a beer, and we allowed them to extend that. That's a smart move on our part. That's going to help Don's, it's going to help Randall, get through the winter time. So I like that idea a lot. This past weekend, Mark was there, Tom, you were playing. Out at the Oak Tree Lodge in Wall Township was the Belmar First Aid celebrating their 90th year as a volunteer first aid squad, which makes them the oldest volunteer first aid squad in the country. And actually, the daughter of one of the founders, Mrs. Quackenbush, she was, I don't know her first name, her maiden name was Mazer. What's that? Alice Mazer was there. So that, it's a nice connection that, 90 years later, we still have a family member of the founding fathers of the first aid celebrating with the rest of the squad members. That was terrific. And I just want to congratulate Pat Provenzano for being mentioned as the Belmar Citizen of the Year 2017. That's mine.
Councilman Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm basically going to forego my report. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, so progress.
Progress. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. We're still working on our recyclable bags. We went out to bid, didn't like those bids, so we're trying another avenue. Definitely want to get those in as soon as possible. Plantings on the beach. We talked to an advisor, Jason Austin is his name, and he actually is going to get together a proposal for us. He was there taking pictures today. He's going to get back to me with a proposal for a pilot project. We have a window for planting. He actually said October is a great month to do it, so we can put them in October and see how they winter over and what kind of shape they're in the spring. And we give us a really good idea about whether the rest of the project is feasible. I'd like to see if it works. And again, I want to thank the Belmar First Aid for inviting us to play. It was really an honor to be there. They are, I love saying this, they are the oldest volunteer first aid company in the country. They're like the original. They're like the Harley Davidson of first aids. They are. It's amazing.
And the best looking.
And totally the best looking. Great looking crowd. I just want to let everybody else know about one other thing that's not something I'm doing. I help my wife get ready for this. You're not going to see, you haven't seen any publicity about it because the event tonight was not open to the public. But there's a group called Better Angels that my wife has gotten involved in. They're at the Belmar Public Library right now. I want to thank Rosemary Korvalak and the library staff for being so cooperative. Colleen Conley also helping us get this set up. What this group does is they're on a 6-city tour, and Belmar is one of the 6. They get local people involved who will get together groups of people from both opposite ends of the political spectrum, reds and blues, these guys call them. The point being that one of the problems with political polarization, the kind of thing that we see in our country now, is that people tend to dehumanize or depersonalize the people they disagree with over political issues. If they think things like, how can you possibly think that? What's wrong with you? What this group does is get these people in a room, and rather than get anybody to try to change anybody else's mind, which is kind of a waste of time most of the time, it's more about understanding how people can have different viewpoints and seeing them as people rather than opposing views. They're making a documentary about it. That's one of the reasons the event was not open to the public and wasn't advertised as such. It'll be pressed in the Co-Star this Thursday. But they're over there now. Just to give you an idea about the different kind of, who supports this group, Better Angels has gotten a grant from one of the Koch brother foundations. People I'm sure know they are a conservative Political Action Group, and they also have funding from Warren Buffett and other more liberal funding agencies. I was really proud of my wife for getting involved in this and doing such a great job. One of the things that happened was she ended up with more people than they could use. You can only have 9 people from each group, and you're allowed to invite observers, but the participants, you can only have 9 from each side. And some of the other sites were like, how did you get so many people? Because she definitely had more than 9. She had people that were on a waiting list. And I think that speaks to the amount of effort she put in and the worthwhile nature of the cause. You can go to www.better-angels.org to get information about the One America bus tour, or you can see the One America bus outside the library tomorrow. They were there dropping them off this afternoon. They'll be there picking them up tomorrow. And tomorrow they're up to Summit. Yesterday they were in Ohio. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolay.
And just to add to that, I had seen the video of one of the sessions or meetings, and it was fascinating. I don't even know how long it was, but it's worth every minute to watch how, again, two kind of opposing parties and groups of people put their minds together and kind of made peace to get good things done. So thank you, Tom. It's great. What are my notes? A few things. Belmar Arts right now, July 12th through August 4th is the Bird Art Show. Please stop by and see the beautiful works of art. I want to say the playground on 15th Avenue looks absolutely beautiful. My daughter was there today until the rain came down and they ran to Brothers Pizza, but very, very nice. Kudos to Colleen Dillon and Colleen Connolly. The kids' camp is just a huge, huge success. They had surf camp the first week, and then this week is sailing camp, and I just hear great things from my son, and he's sometimes hard to please, so thank you. The BBP Cruise Night is July 19th from 6 to 9. Please come out to that. It's always a great time. And if you've gone up and down Main Street, they've got flower pots on the corners, huge flower pots where the flowers are starting to really bloom. Thank you very much to DPW, Mike Campbell, for helping us keep those alive and watered. And let me see. Just one thing to mention, be careful about one-way streets. The same exact street I was on this past week, 2 different times, 2 different days, somebody was coming the wrong way, down the one way. I stopped one girl as she rolled down her window thinking I was asking for...
Excuse me, if you want to have a conversation, you have to go out back. Sorry.
She had rolled down her window and asked, can I help you? I said, no, you're going the wrong way. And she said, oh my God, I was just following my GPS. So her GPS was saying make a right, so it didn't recognize the one ways. So please be very careful with that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I want to first thank, again, I mentioned St. Rose before, but there's many other folks to thank, including our business administrator, Colin Connolly, and also our chief of police, Drew Heisman, for everything they did for the families of both Mitzi and Emily for, I had to be almost a 2-week span. So thank you both very much. So the Taylor Pavilion is up and running. We've held several events there, and now there's more scheduled events there. Last night was the John Luckenbill Orchestra. Tonight, on Tuesday nights, there's, what's that? Frank Rumler Band, which is more dancing.
Yeah.
Wednesday night is Circle of Friends.
Thursday night is Brookdale.
And Thursday night is Brookdale Radio. So literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the Taylor Pavilion is booked up with community events from now through the end of the summer.
Camp all day, music all night.
And that's right, so we also use it for camp during the day. We also held a very successful first annual New Jersey Conference of Mayors Day at the Beach, where we invited mayors from all over the state, including Bergen County, Hudson County, Essex County, Camden County, Cape May County, Ocean, to come. It was our first annual. It went over really well, and it was an opportunity for us to really showcase our town to all these mayors throughout the state. And it's put on by the Conference of Mayors. We were simply the host community for it. But it worked really well, and they want to do it again next year. The Belmar 5 was this past weekend, and I think everyone had an opportunity to enjoy the fireworks as well. So, I just want to recognize the Belmar Fire Department for doing an outstanding job once again. Also, once again, I was the only member of the council to run this hot, disgusting 5-mile race.
Oh, darn, I forgot.
And Council President McGovern wasn't even out there with a hose to hose me down, a little help. But also, we are now in really the middle, or starting towards the middle of the summer. Between 4th of July and Labor Day is, what feels like a sprint. In actuality, it's a marathon. And our Department of Public Works is doing an outstanding job. These guys get up, they're working before we wake up, and they're working after we go to sleep because of the volume of people that come to our town. So, Mike, please, we recognized him before, but just give our thanks to your employees. And also our police department really is doing a remarkable job. 24/7 they're out there, and they deal with situations that some of us could never even imagine, except for Councilman Walsford. And please let them know that we think they're doing an outstanding job as well. And also our beach staff.
Yeah.
We have a tremendous beach staff, whether it's the lifeguards, the first aid that are up there, or the beach badge checkers themselves. They put on a great show for the people who come to our beach, both the residents in town and also the visitors as well. I did see that our beach revenues, no one brought this up, I'm sure Councilman Governor, our beach revenues are off versus last year a bit because we had a pretty soggy Memorial Day weekend. But I'll tell you, the way we've structured things, there's probably more people who come to the Belmar Beach for free than actually pay. If you're 15 and under, you're free. And we're attracting more families now than ever before. If you're a U.S. military veteran, it's free. If you're a first responder, it's free. If you're active military and members of their family, it's free. So, we're off a little bit. I think over during this next period between now and Labor Day, I'm pretty confident we'll make it up, particularly if we have decent weather like today, except for that odd rainstorm. But Colleen, please express to the beach staff that's under the direction of Superintendent Campbell that they're doing an outstanding job.
We're working hard.
So that's all for me. So that concludes our reports. Next is executive session. April, you want to read into the record what's required?
Resolution authorizing executive session, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas there was adequate notice to the public of this meeting, and whereas the Borough Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council, the Borough of Belmar as follows: the public shall be excluded from discussion and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is pending litigation involving LOCO. Minutes will be kept of the closed session. It is anticipated at this time that the above subject matter will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and this resolution shall take effect immediately. So the motion to approve?
I'll offer to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
All right, so folks, we're going to go to executive session for a little while with our attorneys, and we'll be right back. So don't go to bar just Okay, so we are back in session. This is public session on the resolution calendar. Only the resolution calendar. Any comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Please raise your hand. We've been called on, and come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Yes, sir.
Hello, Council, good evening. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, Louis Polito, Dina Manor Apartments at 16th Avenue in Belmar. I was something about what's going on. Councilman Mark Walsifer, I think you should recuse yourself from voting on the Boathouse liquor license and all liquor licenses in Belmar, because your campaign for council received an in-kind contribution from the Boathouse at last year's election. On election day, the Boathouse provided discounted booze and free food while encouraging people to vote for Councilman Walsifer and his running mate. And this is clearly a contribution to your joint campaign. There's plenty of evidence on Facebook that I have showing both the Boathouse encouraging people to vote for Councilman Walsifer and offering discounted booze and free food for voting. And they also seem to host an election night party for their campaign with discounted booze and free food. According to Belmar's pay-to-play ordinance, an in-kind contribution like this disqualifies Councilman Walsifer from voting on any liquor license in town. So, also on a side note, the Boathouse itself may have broken state law by providing something of value to entice people to vote, and that's strictly prohibited. I'd like to ask the borough attorney what your advice on the matter. I mean, would you advise Councilman Walsifer to not vote on any liquor licenses?
The issue.
Yes, you can see what I have.
I mean, somebody previously brought this to my attention. So the chapter you're referring to is chapter 9, which if you receive a contribution from a liquor license holder in the Borough of Belmar, you're thereby conflicted from all liquor license applications. The key question in whether Councilman Walsifer is qualified or not is whether or not he actually received a contribution. I've spoken to Councilman Walsifer, and he indicated that the Boathouse, we were talking about, did not give any monetary contribution to his campaign. So the question becomes whether it's an in-kind contribution. And that's not determined by me or anyone here in the Borough of Belmar. It's determined by the Election Law Enforcement Commission. It's not, I represent all 5 council members. It's not my job to investigate someone's campaign. But so in light of that and the question that was raised, my advice was that the safest option would be to kick all the liquor licenses to the state, because the Borough Council would lack a quorum. There's actually 2 on here tonight, for the fishing club and to the Friendly Sons of the Shillelagh, that are kicking them to the state because there's too many conflicts. There's not a quorum on the council. Councilman Walsifer discussed that. Councilman Walsifer spoke to independent counsel as well and indicated he does not believe that it constitutes a contribution. So I'm not sure what will happen tonight, but my advice was the safest course of action was to do what we're doing with this Shillelagh Fishing Club, because honestly, it's not my job to know the answer to the question of whether it's a contribution or not. Right. And there's no one here in the borough that can tell you that. Only the Election Law Enforcement Commission can make that ruling. So my advice was to take it to the state, because if it turns out that there's no contribution, then we're all good. There's no harm, no foul. Councilman Walsifer represented that to me. If there is a violation later, if ELEC makes a ruling later, it could adversely affect the liquor licenses in the town. So that was why my advice is the safest is the state. Okay. So that was my opinion on the matter. Ultimately, whether there's a contribution is up to someone else, not this for the trend.
That was just a concern. Thank you. Thank you.
So what do we do?
Well, I've given you my, ultimately it's up to Councilman Walsifer. I've given my advice about, what the safest course is. However, obviously there's other considerations here other than what my legal advice is, so.
Well, just to bring everybody up to date, I spoke to 3 different legal counsels on the matter. I showed them what the Boathouse had done, told them I had no knowledge of what they have done, and they told me there's no need for me. I have no conflict, and there's no reason to accuse myself from any liquor license, except for the 2 that we're talking about, because I'm a member of the Shillelaghs, and I'm also a member of the Belmar Fishing Club. So I will be voting on the liquor licenses.
All right, any other comments, questions on the resolution calendar, just the resolution calendar? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public session for the resolution calendar.
Second.
Taylor?
Aye. I will step off for the first resolution. Council President McGovern?
Are you coming back for number 2, or should
I am
we just
coming back
do
for
the next couple?
I'm going back for number 2.
Okay. On the resolutions, I would like to make a motion for the resolution for the authorizing the payment of bills. Do I have a second? Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes.
Next is a resolution authorizing the settlement agreement. What I'll do is I'll make a motion and then have a second, and then our attorney, Jennifer Phillips Smith, will discuss it. So I offer this resolution.
Second?
All right, so before we vote, Jennifer, would you like to address the council? Just the council.
Sure. And to everyone, I feel bad my back is too. But my name is Jennifer Phillips Smith for the record. I am an attorney with Gibbons PC. And I am special counsel, our firm is special counsel, to the borough in this matter, which is Bococo LLC versus the Borough of Belmar and Matthew J. Doherty. It's a matter that's currently pending in the Ocean County Superior Court Chancery Division. And it involves a redevelopment agreement that was entered into with the borough in January of 2014. We ultimately realized that there was a way to mutually resolve this dispute, that both the borough and the redeveloper, who's the designated redeveloper for Block 57, Lot 4, wanted to see the permanent redevelopment of the site. So we have negotiated a settlement agreement that is before the council this evening, and that settlement agreement also contemplates an amendment to the redevelopment agreement, which is a separate resolution that will be considered by the council as well this evening. And in that settlement agreement and also in the redevelopment agreement, the project is the permanent development of the site with a residential use, 10 units, and with commercial space in the bottom. The settlement agreement and also the redevelopment agreement also provide milestones for moving forward with that redevelopment project. The redeveloper will be making an application to the planning board within 90 days of this settlement agreement being signed, should the council approve it. And we'll proceed to make its case in front of the planning board for its application. And should that be approved, they have agreed to start construction within 6 months of the approval of the planning board. So all of that is spelled out, first in the settlement agreement, but then also in the redevelopment agreement. As I said, there are two separate resolutions on this evening. The first is to authorize the execution of the settlement agreement to resolve the litigation. And again, the litigation is against both the borough and Mayor Doherty. And then the second resolution, which we'll consider next, will be for the actual amendment to the redevelopment agreement.
Any questions, comments from members of council for Ms. Smith?
I just want to thank council for all the hard work. Great job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Mr. Brennan, Councilman Brennan said, that both sides did a great job to come to this resolution. Hopefully moving forward when we have cases like this, that we can keep the lines of communications open and save some attorney's fees, but they did a great job on that. They did both great job on both sides coming to this resolution.
Ready to vote?
Yeah, sure.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Before I vote, I think it's important for the taxpayers in Belmar to understand, when they hear settlement, a lot of times they think that there was money exchanged. So typically, people sue us, right, for God knows what reason, slip and fall. And maybe they sue us for $100,000. And our insurance company would come in and say, listen, instead of going to court, that's going to cost us $50,000 in legal fees, we're going to settle with them for $50,000. And out of that, the borough has to pay $10,000. And if we come up here and we begrudgingly say, okay, well, we'll give them $10,000 because it saves us the attorney fees. In this case, it's important to note that the borough is not paying the plaintiffs anything. In the lawsuit, they alleged serious misdeeds, none of which are true. They also were seeking hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're getting none of it. Zero. $0 and 0 cents from the residents and the taxpayers in the borough of Belmar. This entire exercise, in my view, is a complete waste of our taxpayer dollars because we do have to hire a special counsel
like Jennifer Phillips Smith, who did an outstanding job, so thank you very much, to finally reset this and go back to what we originally agreed to 5 years ago, in 2012. So I think it's important for the taxpayers to know that this settlement is not granting them, the plaintiffs, any money whatsoever. Not a dime. And it's the first time anything like that's ever happened since I've been there. I think it's also a good indication that we do things properly in Belmar. Because had their allegations actually been true, they never would have settled. But something I've learned as mayor, unfortunately, attorneys and their plaintiffs can put things into lawsuits that are not true at all. A couple of years ago, there was a lawsuit by former Mayor Ken Pringle, and in it, he alleged that Colleen Conley, our business administrator, was a roommate in college with my wife Maggie. It was never true. Like, pretty black and white. Either you were roommates or you weren't roommates. Now, they did go to the same college at the same time at Rutgers with 40,000 other people. But that's just one example of these lawsuits that we get hit with that, you know, when the press gets a hold of them, they sound very sensationalized and, oh my God, these allegations. And I think it's important to highlight on a day like today when we're approving a settlement that they're simply not true. So with that, I vote yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
I'm looking forward to a beautiful building going up as soon as possible, because I know Loco does a good job, so I'll definitely vote yes.
All right.
Oh,
Next
Council
resolution.
President, back to you.
Council President?
Okay. For the resolution authorizing the signing of a First Amendment to the redevelopment agreement and a parking license, I would like to make a motion for that resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan, would you join Mayor Doherty on?
Oh, we're at the liquor?
Yes.
We're on the liquor. Rules for me.
Okay. I would like to make a motion for the resolution authorizing the issuance of a plenary retail consumption license number 1306-33-010-006 to the Waterview Pavilion, Incorporated, trading as Riverview Pavilion, Waterview Pavilion, for the period ending June 30th, 2018. Do I have a second?
014000004. No, sir. There's no public comment.
Well, he was misreading.
No, I did not misread it.
I'll second.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes. Now, for the resolution this man just called out for, the correct one. I'd like to make a motion for the resolution authorizing the issuance of plenary retail consumption number 1306-33-014-004 for the JOBIL Incorporated, trading as Jack's Tavern for the period ending June 30th, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second?
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes. And now, I would like to also make a motion for the resolution authorizing the issuance of a plenary retail distribution license to ARPADO Incorporated, trading as Hanley's Liquors for the period ending June 30th, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll just do it now. Edward and I will try to order these.
Pass a law for a resolution to allow the State of New Jersey Division of ABC to renew the club license for the Belmar Fishing Club for the period ending June 30th, 2018.
There's a second.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next resolution to allow the State of New Jersey Division of ABC to renew the club license for the Order of the Friendly Sons of the Chalet.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay? Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Did they just get lowered into the floor?
Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion for the resolution authorizing the issuance of a seasonal retail consumption license to the Irish Curse LLC. What's that?
It's not seasonal, sorry, that's a typo. They have it year-round now. That is a year-round retail consumption license.
Greg, should I read that back over?
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion for the resolution authorizing the issuance of a year-round retail consumption license to the Irish Curse LLC, DBA 10th Avenue Burrito License Number 1306-33-007-003 for the period ending June 30th, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second?
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Thank you, Council President. Next, a resolution urging the state legislature to extend the 2% cap on police and fire arbitration contract awards. I'll offer this resolution.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
This 2% cap, I know the law well, and instead of extending it, it should be reworked at this point, because on both, I know both sides of it, and it should be really reworked by the legislature, and I'm voting no on this.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next is our consent agenda. One resolution we don't have on tonight that I'd like to add, I don't know if we can do this, was to allow Colleen Conley, our business administrator, to execute an agreement with the Methodist Church on the property they have on 7th and D Street. How could I add something on to the consent?
Just make a oral motion.
Oral motion,
On the floor,
you want me to read
I've
it?
seen, I've reviewed the lease, there's no money being paid.
Right. So in other words, what we're negotiating with the Methodist Church is for us to take over their property, and it's a big parcel. And it used to be a school plus a church, and it also has a food pantry in the back that's going to continue to operate. The equipment in there is phenomenal. It's all been put in since Sandy, but they really reduced the number of congregants down to the point that they don't really have a functioning church anymore. So what we've agreed to is we would take over the building. We have a Department of Public Works that can maintain it. They agree not to charge us anything. And they can still have the food pantry out the back, which functions to serve people in our communities and surrounding communities. And it would allow us to finally have a senior center here in Belmar, along with a more permanent place for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in the second floor. So the first floor would be for seniors. The second floor would be for the Scouts. There's no elevator. It's not an ADA compliant building, but at least it's something that we can utilize. And I think the lease would be for 10 years.
It's actually for the balance of 2017 with an option to renew, and then the parties will renegotiate. Just to make sure it's all going well.
Right, so, because one of my concerns was the age of the building, particularly 2 points, the boiler, which is as old as Moses.
But good shape.
And the roof, someone like this building, their roof leaks as well. But we think that after inspections, we can mitigate some of the damage from the flooding with some repairs here and there on the roof. So I'd like to add, with the council's consent, a resolution authorizing
County Common to execute that lease.
I've given a copy of that to each council member. And it is a resolution authorizing the business administrator to execute an agreement with United Methodist Church of Belmar for community-centered property lease.
Mr. Mayor, two motions, one to add to the agenda.
That's what I'm saying, I'm making a motion to add it to the agenda.
I'll
Thank
second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Opposed?
Next, I'll offer the same resolution.
Second?
Are we adding it to the consent or doing it separately?
You know what, that's fair, we got a public comment on it.
No, we didn't.
You know, I want to open up the floor for public comment on this resolution regarding the Methodist Church. Does anyone have a public comment like to come up?
Peter, Belmar. Who's insuring the building?
It'll fall under our insurance, just like every other building we have.
So you'll cover that with your, I just want anybody to get hurt, then there's no coverage for it. That's my suggestion.
It's all ours.
They'll sue us.
No. Make sure you have coverage. Thank you.
We'll give you your business card.
Thank you.
Mayor, I think, I'm sorry. The lease provides liability insurance, and we have to go address the residents' concerns, but in terms of insurance on houses and buildings.
Oh, that's still there.
That's still there. Right. That's what should-
But if someone slips and falls.
We're covered, it's in the lease.
Right. Any other public comment question on this resolution only? I apologize for any of the late. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the public portion for this resolution.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So now I will move to, I don't say adopt, but I'll offer the resolution that's on the table.
I'll second.
Councilor Brennan?
Yes.
Councilor Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilor Lobster?
Yes.
Councilman Dever?
I'm going to vote yes, but I know to do this correctly, because the potential there is so great for the benefit of the community. We're going to need to, we really should hire someone part-time, not a volunteer, to run that building and to run the activities down there. No, I don't think we can do it with our recreation director, because he's got the athletics and everything like that. This building is a great opportunity for us, and if we do it right by having a paid employee there, we'll maximize its potential. If we just try and get someone from the office here to do the scheduling and loan out the key and let them open it up, let them close up, it's going to be terrible.
That's a good point.
So no, our intention always has been, since we started discussing this back in August of last year, was to have programming, but have someone paid in some way.
Yeah, we're going to need that. Not our recreation director who spends some time here in the gym and sometimes down there. But yeah, a paid employee that's dedicated to that building and the activities that are going on. It'd be great for Belmar.
If I could offer, because it certainly speaks to your concern, the state of New Jersey and Belmar had already adopted a dedication by rider for senior programming. That allows us to have a dedicated trust fund for, let's say, if a course or a class costs $5, the money goes into that trust. The money out of that trust could be used to hire a staff person, to defray the cost of the upkeep or the utilities. So it's nice that it is senior programming, we have the ability to do a dedication trust.
We don't have one of those trusts at this point.
No, we do.
Oh, we do? Oh,
Yeah.
very
So
good.
this ties nicely into it.
Good, excellent.
My vote is yes.
All right, so now our consent agenda, I'll offer consent agenda.
Second.
Councilor Brennan?
Aye.
Councilor Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilor Lobster?
Just before I vote on the extension of the outdoor dining areas, I know Captain Cox is here. Now that we have that, are we going to strictly enforce the alcohol usage in the rest of the Deanna Plaza?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Councilor Dever?
Strictly enforced. I've been there many, many times, and it's such a good opportunity. It's such a nice event. If people are discreet, with having, drinking a beer and they're not in the designated area, personally, I have no problem. Is it a violation? Yeah. To go there and strictly enforce it, Will that create problems for a community event? I mean, yes. I mean, we could probably do more, you know, we were truck, you know, hundreds of people down there every Friday night, but we don't even have bathrooms for them. We don't even bring a porta-john. If we have a special event for any other activity, one of the requirements is porta-john. We don't follow our own rules. So strictly enforce, yeah, if someone's being out of control, enforce it. If someone just taking a sip, sitting there quietly, I like the fact that we are extending that area of the Friday night concerts. So I say yes.
Thank you. That's everyone, right? Next are ordinances. At this time, if Jennifer wants to exit the stage left. Thank you again for all your hard work. We appreciate it. Ordinance 2017-15, second reading, public hearing. Ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending the revised general ordinances, Chapter 40, development regulations to include standards of commercial boat storage in the MC1 and MC2 zoning districts. This is for public hearing. Anyone have a comment, question on this ordinance? Please come forward. Say your name, address, and record. What your comment or question may be. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2017-15.
All in favor?
Aye. Next, I'll offer for adoption ordinance 2017-15.
I'll second that.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darby?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Evers?
Yes.
Next ordinance 2017-16, second reading, public hearing. Ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending the revised general ordinances, Chapter 28, fire protection and prevention, revising certain non-life hazard annual registration fees and the maximum penalty. This is open for a public hearing. Any public comments, questions on this one? Please come forward. Say your name and address for record. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2017-16.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'll offer move for adoption ordinance 2017-16.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Aye.
Mayor Darby?
Aye.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Evers?
Aye.
Ordinance 2017-17. First reading and introduction. Ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending the revised general ordinance, Chapter 19, traffic, to add section 19-42, ride share pickup drop-off zones, previously reserved. This is for first reading introduction. So I'll offer for first reading.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darby?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Evers?
How is this different than what we have right now?
Great question. So right now, we only have areas designated for taxi cabs. So you have to have a taxi cab license for the boroughs, I guess, of Belmar and Lake Como. What this will allow is an area for ride sharing. The two major companies are Uber and Lyft, but it's not limited to just Uber and Lyft. It could be someone dropping off their friends or picking up their sons and daughters. We have certain designated areas in town. The idea is to allow them to pick up and drop off without them going into the taxi lanes, because they're going to taxi lanes. The taxi cabs were properly complaining because they don't have a licensing to be there, and they pay to be there. And they were also starting to discharge and pick up passengers in the middle of the street, which is dangerous and illegal. So we were writing a lot of summonses, and those summonses would make the people dropping the people off get upset. So this is what we hope is a good compromise where we continue to engage with these ride-sharing companies that, for better or for worse, are only growing, not going away. And at the same time, provide for the safety of the residents who use them here in Belmar and any of the visitors as well.
What about parking spaces? Are we losing any public parking spaces?
These will take up public parking spaces for limited periods of time in the evening hours.
Only in the evening hours?
Correct.
So someone coming to the beach that gets here at noontime and has to park, you know, on the west side of Main Street can park there until
7 p.m. to 3 a.m.
7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Okay. Yeah. My answer is yes.
Thank you. That is all for our ordinances, our resolutions. Next is public session. This is where you have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record. Come up to the front.
There's a competition right now between a gentleman raising his hand and a gentleman who has a flag that says, "Don't tread on me." And in general, if you bring your own flag to the council meeting, you know, it's hard to, so do you defer your time to Mr. Pyro, or do you want to go first? State your name and address for the record, and then 5 minutes about whatever you'd like to talk about.
My name is Bruce Esler. I live on 1901 B Street. My apologies to Mr. McGovern for being a new reader. I was one paragraph ahead of you. You were right.
Sometimes I'm a paragraph behind. In a lot of things.
You can't be. I'm the only one allowed back there. I have a request to the council to remove the one-way or do not enter signs at the intersection of 19th Avenue and B Street. First, it goes against a resolution that the council passed many years ago, because that street used to be one-way heading east during the summer months, and then revert to two-way as the rest of 19th Avenue did. So there's that. The fact that the signs are on our property, they're in Belmar. But the most disturbing thing of all to me is that this resolution was passed entirely without any even second grade logic of taking 3 main streets and putting them all at loggerheads. People came down there and they have no place to go. They come down 19th Avenue, you see them stop and try to figure out what to do. They know they can't go up this way on B Street. They know they still can't go down this way, and they've been doing it for a long time, so they turn around and there's just mayhem. We have a lot of public events that go on. And while they're going on, we have people standing at the end of B Street, not allowing anybody to go back on North Avenue, which makes perfect sense, but they don't have anybody anywhere that prevents people from coming down 19th Avenue. What do? They get there, they can't go down B Street to the south, they can't go up B Street to the north, and they can't go down 19th Avenue to the west. Mayhem. Absolute mayhem. All of those factors, as far as I'm concerned, just make this thing repulsive. And it's ruining our neighborhood. We have a nice neighborhood, but all of the traffic is now coming up 19th Avenue from Lake Como, down 19th Avenue from DJ's, and down B Street. And it runs into our street and just makes it crazy. There's no parking. There's parking on both sides of our street, so it's a very narrow street. So I really appreciate it if we would get together and just say, listen, Lake Como, it's okay for you to have your street set up the way you want to, but don't mess up Belmar to do it. Please.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Peter Pyro, Mayor and Council.
Address.
Second?
Address.
Oh, North Boulevard, Belmar. My name is Peter Pyro, and I'm proud to be on North Boulevard in Belmar. On June 28, 2017, the Lake Como Municipal Council enacted Ordinance 2017-925, which, among other items, changed 19th Avenue in Lake Como to a one-way street from Bradley Terrace to B Street. The ordinance resulted in 2 do not enter signs installed on Belmar property without the approval of any municipal official in Belmar. I just spent an hour going through the Belmar traffic ordinances. There's no authorization for do not enter signs for one-way on the west side of 19th Avenue in Belmar. The traffic changes set forth that it will be in effect from May 15th to September 15th of each calendar year. This resolution is not just for 1 year, but will last until another resolution is passed to remove it by Lake Como. It's in perpetuity. A copy of that ordinance has been provided to the Mayor and Council by email to each of you. The do not enter signs were installed within the boundaries of the Borough of Belmar the day after the passage of the ordinance by the Council of the Borough of Lake Como. The very next day, a copy of the portion of the tax maps of Lake Como and Belmar showing the municipal boundary has been provided to the Mayor and Council members. sure you have access to it, but I figured it'd make it easier for you to make your decision. I sent you copies of both of the municipal boundary maps to show that the signs that I'm talking about, the do not enter signs, are clearly within the boundaries of Belmar. A petition with 100 signatures was referenced at the Lake Como Council meeting on June 28, 2017. A copy of that petition has been tendered to the mayor and council members of Belmar by email. That petition has signatures from residents and voters of both Lake Como and Belmar. Not one resident or voter in Lake Como spoke in favor of the ordinance regarding traffic and signage change at the Lake Como Council meeting that took place on June 28, 2017, to my recollection. This was the second reading of this ordinance, and some people may have spoken in favor of the traffic change at the first meeting. I did not know, I wasn't there. No traffic study or traffic plan was done by the Borough of Lake Como before this change or traffic flow was enacted. Traffic issue. As my good neighbor Bruce Essler just said, traffic from 3 streets is now directed to the portion of Beach Street in Belmar located south of 19th Avenue. The 3 streets are 19th Avenue east of B Street, B Street from the north of 19th Avenue, and 19th Avenue west of B Street. Traffic on B Street in the Borough of Belmar has substantially increased after the ordinance allowing the do not enter signs was passed. And I supplement my notes in that regard. The 3 streets from Lake Como that feed into 19th Avenue west of B Street also generate a new traffic flow. As I monitored it on Sunday afternoon, you get 5 and 6 cars at a time. What apparently happens is when the light changes, I didn't monitor it that way, but because they only get 4 or 5 cars at a time, when the light changes, people feed through multiple little streets in Lake Como, come down to 19th Avenue, and then they come, because they can't come into 19th Avenue to the east, because Belmar has a do not enter sign there. They're forced to come down on our flow of traffic. The foot races and bicycle races. This past Saturday, they had the 5-mile run. I don't know if it's a 5K run, it's a 5-mile run. My wife walked in it until she got to our house, and that decided that was enough.
Smart woman.
But in any event,
One more minute.
I have 1 minute left? Okay, well, I'll have one of my neighbors reread the last of it. It's because we wrote it out and spent a lot of time on it. That's the only relief valve in our section of town going west on 19th Avenue when there's a run. There's no other way to get out. There is no other way to get out. The signage issue. The signs are clearly in Belmar. They're illegal. They're illegal. They're illegal. The action needed. When each of you ran for office, you said you'd help the people in South Belmar. You said you'd help the people in South Belmar. It's clearly a single issue. The traffic flow from Lake Como has been dumped into Belmar. Illegally. 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 I ask that you take the signs down tomorrow morning. I ask each of you, will you direct the chief of police to take those signs down tomorrow morning, Mr. Governor?
I don't think we're gonna vote on anything. We'll
You
talk.
have an election coming up in November. Will you vote for us to knock those signs down tonight?
Well, that's your 5 minutes.
I'll let somebody else answer the rest of the people the same question.
Well, you can, we can all answer, but that's your 5 minutes. I'd let someone else
I
come up.
understand. Somebody else can finish my-
I would tell you that I've been to the intersection, Tom and I were there, and I understand what you're saying. I understand where the signs are. We could take them down tomorrow. I don't see how that benefits anyone by taking them down tomorrow, to be very honest with you. So, no, I would not instruct the chief of police to take it down. No, I won't.
We'll remember in November.
Okay?
Good evening. Jim Lang. I live 301 19th Ave in Belmar. That's the corner of 19th and B Street. The signs in question were put right in front of my, right by my house. I'm not going to go over again the fact that the signs are in Belmar, that we weren't talking about it, that the council hasn't said anything about allowing the signs to be there. Really what I want to talk about is the corner itself. It's a confusing intersection, and it always has been. whether these do not enter signs are there or not. People come down, there's converging traffic, there's one-ways coming at each other. Evidence of this is, there's a telephone pole at the corner of my house, and over the years, it's getting slowly chipped away from vehicles hitting. There's a couple inches on facing the intersection that are gone from people making last-minute decisions to turn. East Street is narrow with cars parked on both sides. I can sit out there at any time of the day and see people still come down 19th Ave, disregarding the one-way, the do not enter sign. Every night I see people go the wrong way on B Street. I don't know what it is with the intersection. It's confusing. B Street has a stop sign, but there's no stop line painted on the road. I'm pretty sure you have to have both. Maybe Councilman Walsifer could answer that question. Don't you have to have a white stop line with a stop sign?
Basically, the line on a residential street is a courtesy line.
It's a courtesy line?
The stop sign
Is what's there? Maybe we could put the courtesy line in to help people understand that it's a stop sign, because people run that quite frequently. And I'm not talking, a couple mile an hour you roll to the stop sign. I'm talking about people run it. A lot of people don't see it. I don't know why people turn up B Street the wrong way. Maybe they're following their electronic directions and they're not paying attention. Somebody had mentioned to me that the way the do not enter sign is on 19th Ave, it kind of blocks the one-way sign when you on B Street when you come up to it. So there's confusion on it. The taking down the signs, the signs aren't benefiting the situation. They're not helping the situation. What they're helping is they're stopping the flow of traffic into Lake Como by directing it through a street in Belmar. So it's not.
You understand, so you're wrong. 19th Avenue in Belmar goes west.
Yes.
19th Avenue in Lake Como, for some unknown
Goes both
reason.
ways.
No.
No, it used to go both ways until these do not enter signs were put up.
It goes east. So you have cars going west hitting into cars going east.
Yes.
I don't see how taking down do not enter signs is going to help that situation.
Matt, that road was always.
That road from B Street
wait,
west.
Let me finish. What had been in the past, I agree with you. I don't think two one-way streets should intersect.
Come at each other.
They should
It's
not.
confusing.
My whole point is, I don't see how taking down those signs and not telling people do not enter and to go straight into a one-way, go in the opposite direction, is a benefit to anyone.
Okay, now,
What I think.
what
we
signs
need
do you
to
think
is-
I'm asking you to take down?
Well, the
Because there's
ones
do
that-
not enter signs when you're heading
The
up.
ones that I've been asked to take down are the do not enter signs facing drivers heading west on 19th Avenue
Yes.
before they get into Lake Como.
Yes.
If you took those signs out and people went into that street, there's one-way traffic coming at them. I don't see how that benefits them. What we need to do is work with Lake Como. I think the best
Yes.
idea is make 19th Avenue one-way in Lake Como and in Belmar in the same direction.
My overall request to the council is that happen, that the towns talk to each other through the common police department that we have. Because the intersection is not a good intersection, whether those do not enter signs are up or not. Okay, it is not a good intersection. It has never been a good intersection. And that predates the July 3rd installation, or whatever the date was, of the one-way signs in Lake Como and the do not enter signs that are in Belmar on that intersection. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking to take a look at how that intersection works, because it doesn't work. It's confusing. It's confusing to people who are not familiar with the area. All right, and it's confusing apparently to some residents, because for a while they kept missing the fact that they couldn't go down it. All right, and it's inconvenient for me to get to my driveway now. If I'm up on the ocean, I have to actually go down to Main Street or 18th Avenue, because my driveway is on the other side. But really, the issue is it's an unsafe corner. All of the temporary cones and temporary signage that's in the street, to me, demonstrates that this was not thought out. That during the race yesterday, on Saturday, it was unbelievable how people were making illegal U-turns because they got bottlenecked there. People were heading up 19th on a one-way street to the beach because they didn't know how to get out of it. Please take a look at it. Please talk to Lake Como. Please try to figure out what can be done with the intersection to make it workable for both towns and safe. Thank you.
And again, I reiterate that I've already spoken with Mayor Wilton. I visited the location. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to have on the same street traffic heading only east and traffic heading only west. We only govern Belmar. We have to work in a diplomatic way with our friends and neighbors in Lake Como. We cannot dictate things to them. But clearly, this is not working. It doesn't work. My suggestion is to, just as 18th Avenue is one way going east, make all of 19th Avenue one way going west, and then you have 20th Avenue one way going east. It makes sense. At night, one of the things that our chief of police has been doing, which is, I think, really smart, is coning off, blocking off 19th Avenue on Ocean Avenue to limit the traffic at night. I've been in conversations with Mayor Lake Como, and I said, look, we can continue to do that, which would ameliorate some of the issues at night with traffic on the streets that their main concerns are, which are Bradley Terrace and I'm forgetting the other one. Greenwood, thank you. But during the day, we're not going to cone that street off. I mean, people have to come and go. And look, while Lake Como does not have a beach, it is pretty closely associated with it. And during the day, there's going to be traffic. There's traffic throughout town, all of Belmar, and traffic throughout Lake Como. So our best approach is to work with Lake Como. I don't see how us going and taking down the wrong way signs, and let's say we took them down and we told them you have to put it on their property. So now you have a one-way street, and the do not enter sign is pushed west, let's say 60 feet. So now you have people coming from Belmar, which we do have jurisdiction over, going into Lake Como, and running into one-way traffic, as opposed to us telling them do not enter. For us telling them do not enter is a lot safer than us taking them signs down and then requiring them to push it back further. I think ultimately it's going to have to be one way. I was at the race. What Mr. Pyro said was absolutely correct. If you were on 19th Avenue, there was nowhere to go. I mean, you were trapped. Whereas in the past, that was a relief valve to head west, go on Bradley Terrace, make a right, then make a left onto 18th, or keep going and go to 17th, and then head to Main Street. But I think the idea of I think we'll have a better approach working in a diplomatic way with Lake Como as opposed to a dictatorial way.
Did Lake Como recently change their one-way direction on 19th?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's been proposed as a pilot, not set in stone. It's been proposed and spoken about as a pilot. I think it's pretty clear that
It's not piloting well.
this is not piloting well. If this was a TV show, it would get canceled halfway through.
So you think with a little talking, they may go back to what it was? I'm sure there's neighbors in Lake Como that don't want people from Belmar using that small street.
Well, and I would tell you, again, speaking with Mayor Wilton, there are people, the reason why they did this is because there were people that requested it. There were people that wanted it one way, heading east. Again, if you go to that intersection, I encourage all of us to go, it looks insane. When we went, we almost had a head-on collision, right? With
Somebody didn't know where to go.
it was me who didn't know where to go. But you'll see in the street, there's, the little wooden, like 2x4 sign that says, "Do not enter," and then cones around.
There's a
stop sign, like at wheel level on the ground.
No, it just says.
And it just shows you that, I don't see, again, I just go back to, I don't see how, you could have on one street, traffic going one direction and going the other. It sounds more like a Seinfeld episode than actually something that is good public policy.
Do we have an officer in our police department that studies traffic or has gone to schools that have learned traffic patterns that could probably go down there and look at it? It may not be, if we tweak this, we may also have to tweak this. So probably someone that's had some training.
Right, but I think that, again, I've never trained myself, but my guess is if you made it one way, just like every street from 13th Avenue down to 20th is one way, it works pretty well in the summer. We're busy. It allows parking on both sides, and people can understand it. I could never imagine, as the mayor of Belmar, having, C Street going south for 2 blocks and then north for the following 2 blocks. You're going to have problems.
I think about 15 or 20 years ago, they come up with the same thing on 19th Avenue, and I'm trying to remember if it was DOT that ordered them to reverse that street, or make that street go back to 2-way, because they came down, somebody, I think it was the state agency, either it was DOT or somebody from the state, came down and really deemed it a hazard and ordered Lake Como to change it back.
To 2 ways.
To 2-way, yeah. Because what happened about 15, I want to say 15 or 20 years ago.
For 2-way.
But it was the same situation back then, and it got changed back right away. And I'm trying to remember how, what state agency was the one who came down and told them that they had to change it back. It was crazy, but hopefully we can work something out with the mayor of Lake Como to straighten that out.
Right, so we have to work, again, the Belmar Police Department provides policing services for Lake Como. That's true. The police department cannot tell the Lake Como governing body what to do, just like they can't dictate to the Belmar governing body what to do. We cannot dictate either to the Lake Como governing body what to do. We need to work in a diplomatic way. So while I wish I could use the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, we have to work in a partnership.
Okay, but why is it okay for them to dictate to us?
Sir,
can't you use your ability to bargain and really try to work this thing out?
Sir, I understand, but other people have an opportunity. This is, just so we're clear, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is an on-the-record meeting, so you have to come up to the microphone, you have to state your name and address. You can't simply shout out from the audience. I'm sorry.
May I?
No, everyone gets 5 minutes. Ma'am, would you like to speak?
Yes, I do. My name is Denise Barraza. I live at 1900 B Street, which is in the southwest somewhere. I'm right there. I just bought this house last summer.
Where did you move from?
I moved from Lake Como after living there 26 years, 20th Avenue. And I thought, oh, this is a great place. I can sit on my porch, I can look at the lake. Well, the first weekend, man, cars going one way, the wrong way, going straight through. Our curves are not clearly marked. So all the cars that were coming for the beach were parking illegally. So it made it even harder for cars to then turn left onto B Street and go down towards the lake.
You mean too close to the intersection?
Too close to the intersection. They were getting tickets, but people don't
still
get tickets because it's cheaper than whatever. So that's dangerous in itself. A couple weeks ago, a drunken woman plowed through the cement wall there. So I think that's basically what makes people very confused. You come down, you look straight forward, and you see this down near Bradley Terrace, there's a big board across where you can't go any further. And people see that and they're like, oh my God, this street ends, I have to turn. So, and then they look over and they see this horrible cement wall that's all broken up. And then they look down, oh my God, what is that on the ground? It's like this one-way sign, go this way. And then there's cones over here, there's some cones over there. It's a nightmare. I just ask you that if you would talk to, I know you're all probably friends with all the people in Lake Como. If you would just talk to them and ask them what their reasoning was. I grew up on Bradley Terrace. I spent 24 summers there. So I know the traffic. Everybody knows that Lake Como, Belmar gets extremely crowded in the summer. We used to play running bases. So if I had thought as a child that I could just say to the town council, gee, I don't really want anybody coming down my street. So I'm going to go to the town council and I'm going to say, could you make this a one-way here so I could be playing running bases with my friends? I would have done it. But you don't do things like that. So 100 people saying, you know, this is very inconvenient. We can't get back from the beach. We have to go down Parkway, which is a nightmare in itself if you want to get over to Bradley Terrace. It's just not fair to the rest of the residents. So I'm asking you to kindly talk to them, see what they could do, take it down. Thank you.
Well, and also you gotta remember, it's not so much taking down the do not enter, it's changing the street, changing the pattern so
Well,
that.
you can come up from Bradley Terrace up to B Street and make a right. It always has been that way.
Well, then 19th Avenue would be two ways in Lake Como. That's what they changed from, correct me if I'm wrong, but they changed from two-way to one-way.
Correct.
I'm not sure.
Yes, it was two-way
There's no
there.
one-way sign there, Matt.
Well, I'm still riding down Bradley Terrace and making a left and coming towards my house, so am I doing something illegal?
No, because again, in Lake Como, 19th Avenue is one-way heading east.
Yes.
Where you live in Belmar, 19th Avenue is one-way heading west, which is why
But isn't,
everyone ends up making the
18th
left
Avenue
on.
the same way at B Street, that you can turn on 18th when you're coming down B Street? You can make a right and go towards Main Street. It's the same thing. Yeah, Lake Como has always been like 2 lanes on 19th, 2 lanes on 18th.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're changing all those to one-way.
They are trying to parallel what we do in the summer months, going to one-way streets. It makes it safer for egress.
Well, it has,
Yeah, 18th
since
already.
Lake Como is really, well, Old South Belmar is really Belmar. Maybe you could get together and try to make the streets the same. It's like
You're
living
gonna get us in trouble
Wally
saying that, you know
World.
that, right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Thank you.
Hi, Kelly Lang, 301 19th Avenue, corner of B Street, ground zero. I welcome you all to come and sit on my porch. I make really good coffee, and it's quite a show. I've lived there for 17 years. I have an email that I found that I sent to, then it was acting chief of police, Jack Hill, asking him for some help on this corner. The corner's always been a debacle, even before the signs went up. And I'm not sure, Councilman, when it happened, there was a period of time where those do not enter signs were placed, and then they were taken down, and I'm not sure why. The email that I received back from Chief Hill basically said that the towns had to communicate, and because you had 2 separate police departments, that was an issue. So again, I think we're all just asking you if this is a great opportunity. We're under one umbrella for the police now, and maybe we could sit down and look at the 2 communities as a grid and figure out what makes the most sense for all the traffic. Because it's bad, and you know, in the summer, it's crazy. My car was rear-ended in my driveway by somebody who was sober, and it was during the day because they got confused. I mean, the whole car was pushed in. I don't let my children play on my front lawn because I'm terrified. The telephone pole, as my husband had mentioned, is chipped out for so many accidents. Denise and I had a great time at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, watching the cement from the wall. I mean, it's crazy down there. I want to commend the police department. Chief Heisman has been there. He made that little stop sign for me because I said to him, and you were there as well, it's mayhem. And the problem too, I think, is the speed at which the cars drive. They're coming down 19th Avenue so fast that when they get to that intersection, they don't know what to do. And there's no stop sign there, and there should be. And there's also no stop sign
coming east from Lake Como. The only stop sign is on B Street, and I think if we could change that and maybe look at it, it would make a little more sense. And I think we're all just upset because it was a decision made at a Lake Como council meeting, and none of us were made aware of it. So I guess we kind of feel like, hey, we're Belmar residents, and it affects us. One more thing to add to this mayhem. I know you were talking about the Uber drop-off points. Apparently, there's one in front of my house. Is that what you guys were talking about before, or I assume it's at the restaurants and bars, right, where there's...
Yeah, the the rideshare locations are on main thoroughfares in front of
Okay.
bars and restaurants. If there's a pin drop near your home, and we can talk after the meeting and point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because it's the companies that do that. It's nothing to do with.
Because I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So now, on top of this, I have drunk people
Oh.
sitting on my front lawn getting their rides from Uber. And I'm like, this has to be a joke. This has to be a
If you don't
joke.
mind, we'll talk after the meeting.
I would love that,
Okay,
thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
That's
So
what I'm doing.
please consider, guys, if we can all get together and do something down there. And I do make good coffee, I really.
And again, just to reiterate, we've already been in discussions with Lake Como because it makes no sense to have two one-ways intersecting themselves. No matter how many signs we put up, no matter how many stop signs, do not enter signs, cones, things on the ground, it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm guessing, I don't know how many years I've been driving, but I don't think I've ever seen a street that had two one-ways that went after each other.
And don't even have stop signs.
But again, I think even if you had stop signs, it's still a disaster.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, again, if there's any other topics, I think we've sort of exhausted that one. So if there's any other, yes?
Hi, Angela, 55319 Fifth Avenue. I'm just wondering, what's happening with the 10th Avenue Pavilion?
They received their
We got a TCO this morning.
TCO this morning.
We're moving in.
So the lifeguards, first aid,
And police are all moving in.
they'll be moving in, yeah.
Great.
Good question?
Finally, question.
Yes.
David Schneck, 302 C Street. I would just like to suggest that on meetings directly following a canceled meeting, that members of the public be given 2 5-minute opportunities to speak before the council, because they may have 2 things they want to talk about that come up during the month, and if one meeting is canceled, then basically they lose 5 minutes of time before the council. That should be made up on the following meeting, so that they have every opportunity to discuss what they wanted to discuss with the council. Thank you.
Yes.
George Cartas, 111 Third Avenue. Just want to tell you, your first aid, and water rescue, and police just saved 2 people on that.
Yeah, what
mission.
happened tonight?
They smelled the alcohol. I shouldn't say that. 'Cause they were out there, they got caught on the rocks, they got beat up, and rescued them.
But all everyone's okay.
Everybody's
Thanks, George.
All right, thank you.
Good job, Bruce. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other public comments, questions, I'll make a motion to close the public portion and adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.